Hey, I think it just started going without me knowing. Hey, what it do? It's me. It's that wrestling dude. We're in for a treat for tonight. Half of the Pride of Wrestling's tag champs. He's a Gorgonzola of rock and rolla. Senor QUESO himself, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cheeeese. Yay!
So much.
How you doing? How you doing?
I couldn't be any more Gouda.
I
Had to
was
hit you
trying
with
to
the pun the first time.
absolutely. I was trying to look up some puns earlier. Um, let the folks know who trained you, how long you been in the biz, and where you based out of.
I made my debut in 2019. I was trained by the great and powerful Jay Lethal. Um, had some continued training from Matt Seidel and David Mercury and guys like that. Based out of St. Petersburg, Florida area, and travel all over.
All right, the Alchemist. Who what's your first memory of pro wrestling?
My first memory of pro wrestling is being a little kid and sneaking off to my grandparents' house because we all lived in the woods. And my grandparents, I've talked about it a few times publicly, but I'll never stop. So my grandparents were huge wrestling fans. They came
Uh,
from that era where it's like pro wrestling was just, it was more of a mainstream before we had all the social media and the channels and everything. We would sometimes get lucky and see some static cable over our antennas of just like
okay,
Superstation and stuff like that. But yeah, my earliest memory is sneaking off to my nanny and papa's house in the woods in North Florida and watching some old NWA WCW.
okay. Well, your parents weren't into wrestling. They banned it.
I actually, that's a funny story. My dad did ban it in our house for a while because my brother and me, we would always fight, whether it was over the Nintendo controller or something that happened in wrestling. And we were at my grandparents' house, me and my brother, and we were always fighting, shoving each other, giving each other bloody noses, as brothers do.
Yep.
And I took a my brother did something, he spilled my drink or he did something on purpose just to make me mad, and that was like his MO at the time. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a 5-year age gap, so he was constantly doing what he could to make me mad. And then as soon as I'd retaliate, then he'd be like, "No," and he'd act like he's crying, and then my
Yep.
I would be the one that get in trouble as the oldest. But he did something to make me mad, and I took a plastic chair that belonged to our younger sister. It was this tiny little chair, but I hit him over the head with it, and it couldn't weigh more than a feather. This thing was light, but it made a thunk sound, and right when it made that thunk sound, my dad walked in the door. He looked around, he looked at me holding the chair, he looked at my brother. My brother immediately, he was totally fine, but he started crying immediately. And my dad looks at the TV, he says, "That's because you're watching wrestling. No wrestling in this house. Wrestling's banned." So I sure showed him.
You're Florida born and raised.
What's that?
You're Florida born and raised.
Yeah, I was actually born in right above the Florida Georgia line in Valdosta, Georgia, and
Okay.
I was raised in North Florida, which is
Okay.
it's like right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing, same thing. So, do you know when do you know you wanted to get into wrestling? At what age? I mean, everyone kind of does when they watch wrestling. They want to be like, "Hey, I want to wrestle." But when did you know, like, damn, I'm really gonna try to do this?
I mean, yeah, of course, I had ideations as a kid. I wanted to be a pro baseball player. I wanted to be a doctor, and then I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And that was the thing that kind of always stuck in my heart. Like
Mm-hmm.
went to community college. Was like, I'm not going to be a doctor. I went to, like I played football in high school rather than baseball, and I was like, I'm not going to be a baseball player. But it always sat with me, like on my shoulder, that one day, like, you should totally try it, you should do it, you should go for your dream of pro wrestling, because I love that more than any other sport, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was in the early 2010s, and it was in North Florida. It was in Tallahassee, Florida. and there was an independent show that came through, and not a lot of independents would consistently run in Tallahassee over the years, because I lived there for many years as well. But some of the boys from around the state came in, and some from Alabama too, and they put on a show, and it had a lot of really good names that, people who are fresh to the scene might not know. But if you've been around for a little while and you have any knowledge, you've done any research on independent pro wrestling in Florida, you should know who these people are. And there are guys like Corey Chavez, Vordell Walker, the PS players is Mr. Pumpio Breaks and Morgan Davis III, those guys. But then there was two guys that stood out, and those two guys were the Kings of Florida, the Simon Says, and Francisco Chiazzo, the late great Francisco Chiazzo. And so those guys put on a heck of a show. I mean, the character work from Simon Says and the immaculate promos that he would always produce, and just that guy is just, he has infinite knowledge of when and where to speak in a promo, in a wrestling match. He tells a story. Same thing with Chiazzo. Frank could put on a show all on his own through his mouth, but he also let his wrestling moves tell a really, really great story. And so watching that show, and specifically those two guys, that was my moment that I was like, something was embedded in the part of my brain that says, you have to do this one day, or at least try, or you're not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I did wait for another probably 10 years after that, but I did it.
Yeah.
Nobody can say that I didn't. And here I am.
Yeah, because I mean, 99% of wrestling fans all want to be a wrestler and don't have the balls to actually do it.
It takes some gumption. It takes courage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got to put yourself out there.
Were you a natural since day one?
I mean, no, I mean, so like as a character, I feel that I kind of was, because not trying to brag or anything like that, but as a character, I feel like I had some mojo, I had some juice since day one. I did get into it when I was, in my 30s. I got into it in my early 30s. The body just doesn't adapt as easily to a different type of, and no matter what kind of athlete you are, by the way, pro wrestling is a different mode, a different motion, a different type of exercise than anybody can get used to. You can be the biggest bodybuilder, you can be the best baseball player, you can be the hottest football player, you can be the world's most special basketball player. You step into a pro wrestling ring, all bets are off. All that athleticism can help you, but it doesn't quite I'm trying to look for the best way to say this without diminishing those sports, because I love sports and I think athletics are fantastic. And I think anybody who takes the time to do them and practice them and work out and all that, they're all, marvelous people. But pro wrestling is such a different animal.
Yeah.
You can't really prepare for it, because there's so much going on with the mind and with the crowd and with the interaction and just what you're doing, the moves that you're giving and the moves that you're receiving. It's a lot.
Yeah, and then just imagine the frequent starts and stops. Like you go quick for 30 seconds and you're down for 5 seconds. You go quick for another 45 and you're down for the back and the up and down. To that cardio is not the same.
It's totally different. And whenever I was first training for it, it's going to be an uphill battle always. No matter how good my cardio, anybody's cardio is. But I asked one of my trainers, I was like, hey, what's the best way to stay like in ring shape and cardio shape for the ring, that running the ropes, those short, sudden bursts. And it was just like, just run the ropes.
Yeah.
That's really all you have, quite frankly.
Yeah, I remember wrestling in high school, the same thing, man. It's that start and stopping, and I mean, there's no really way to prepare for it other than wrestling with guys until you get at a cardio back up again. That stamina.
That's right.
And learning how to breathe, man, is so underrated too. That's one of the things I sucked at was for some reason you're in that fight, that adrenaline's pumping, you forget to breathe. Next thing you know, you're sucking air like a beast.
Bro, it happens to me. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, I could do better, but also like I know if my cardio is the best it's ever been, I'm still going to be like
Yeah.
but I'm going to get to the next thing,
Yeah. Who'd you initially break in as?
I've always been the Cheeeese.
Really? So take me down memory lane. How did it all come together for you? Because it's so simple, man, but it's so brilliant at the same time.
Well, a little inside baseball, pro wrestling is when you're going through the training process, you do you have a promo day. Any training school worth their salt is going to see how you can be on the stick. And so Jay Lethal's promo days were always different and always fun. And the first one that I was able to have there was it was extraordinary. I don't know if you've seen the old Saturday Night Live sketch of Chris Farley, and he's Matt Foley. He's a motivational speaker living in a van down by the river off a steady supply of government cheese.
Yeah.
So I borrowed from that and I cut this heel promo as a bad guy. And I wasn't calling myself the Cheeeese back then. I was going to be, and I don't think I've ever said this part, so this is exclusive for you.
Yeah.
But I was going to be one of two characters that were going to be heel characters. I was going to be, and they exist somewhere in my subconscious. I was going to be, well, the farmhand wasn't a heel character. It was a character that was true to me because I've worked on many, many farms, and coincidentally, my current business, my job is I am the farmhand. So I have a character element with that. It's a little catchy. People like it.
Yeah.
And I would dare say I'm a successful business in the Tampa Bay region. The other character was the Tej, which is, my real name, my shoot name, as people know me as TJ. And, I forget that that's my name most of the time because everybody called me Cheese, and I'm totally fine with that. But my friends call me Tej or the Tej or whatever. And it's so stupid and so cringy that I was just like, this could work. People will hate this. This will be like The Miz or something, And so I was cutting it as the Tej, but in doing that, I saw a chance to pivot, and the Cheeeese was born. So I cut the promo and I said, why does everybody look and smell like they're on a steady supply of government cheese? And Jay seemed to enjoy it. Everybody in the class was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking like that. And Jay was just like, you sound really mad about that government cheese. And so then he started calling me government cheese. And, eventually he dropped the government, and then everybody from that point of training on, called me the Cheeese. So 2 cheese tattoos and some wrestling matches later, I'm the Cheeese forever, baby.
Okay. Yeah, and it's not a bad guy to have it with you, Jay Lethal either, man. That guy's so underrated promo wise too.
He is I've said this many times as well, but he is a wonderful teacher. He's a great human being. He's become a really good friend of mine. But he is such a great resource, and he loves wrestling so much. He I think you could pluck him out of wrestling if he didn't have the passion of 1,000 Suns for pro wrestling. You could pluck him out of wrestling and take him to put him somewhere in the corporate world and say, hey, you're going to teach people how to sell car insurance. And he could do it because he's very good at instructive activity. He gives honest critiques. He doesn't sugarcoat, but he also knows when someone's struggling, and he gives them the extra help that they need and the extra encouragement that they need. So he is just a fantastic. I can't say enough good things about him. Super biased, but he's a fantastic guy.
That's good. You got lucky you got someone like that from the get-go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start throwing an American flingers out there? The cheese. When you start flinging those out?
You talking about these boys?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Always keep that thing on me. No, I started off with Cheese Whiz. So I would come out to the ring,
Okay.
I would get a pull of Cheese Whiz, and then I'd bop somebody on the head with it, and that would be the deal. And I still do it from time to time. Every now and again, I'll bust that out. But um, I was like, how can I incorporate the cheese, the American cheese slices? Because this is cheap, it's abundant,
Yeah.
it is the most preferred cheese for every poll, because American processed cheese is something that we put on our sandwiches, our hamburgers, some people their hot dogs. It's like all kinds of stuff, and it
Mm-hmm.
works. So I was just like, what if I threw it? What if I threw it at people? That's not going to knock anybody down, or will it? What if I threw it out to the crowd? And I took those what ifs and I put them to good use, and here we are.
Nice. Now, was it always out of the fanny pack? Or did you pull them out of the tights first?
Bro, I pulled them out of the tights in the beginning, and I had the guy who made my gear. I had him sew a pocket into
Okay.
tights because the cheese was getting a little famunda, and it was going into the nether regions, so I had to have the pocket. Well, the issue with the pocket is like when you're running around or you're getting hit and clubbed in the chest, or you whatever is happening to you in the ring, the cheese will bounce and slide around and become famunda cheese again. So um I just thought, let me see how this fanny pack deal works. And my lovely wife took a fanny pack and made it into a cheese fanny pack, and I wear it in all matches. And it's probably one of the most favorite things that I own. Is I've been through a lot with that fanny pack.
It's way better to pull them out of the tights.
Oh my
Listen.
god, dude! One time I was I was in a match, and I was on the ground and I was looking for my cheese. I had just gotten slammed. I was down. I was like, I got to find my cheese. I got to power up against this guy, and I got to hit him in the face so I can get, cheese up and become victorious. I'm looking around, and guy's coming around the corner, and he's going to grab me, and I'm like, I can't find my cheese. So I just smack him in the face as if I had cheese in my hand. And he was just like, why'd you slap me in the face? And he went to pummel me, and then it turned into like he kept, everybody kept saying, hey, can't find your cheese. You can't find his cheese. So I was like, never again. I will not do that again. So
Always got your cheese right next to her. That's should be on the t-shirt too.
good call.
Yeah.
Call.
Recently, man, you've been linked up with the Savannah Bananas, man. I heard about them. My buddy told me about 2 years ago before they first came to Florida. How'd you link up with them?
Their casting director, the young professor, shout out young professor Matt Grafer, who gave me an amazing opportunity to go and try out and be with them. And he said, I think we need the cheese. And I said, oh, bananas, cheese, does that work? And he's like, we'll find out. And I said, are you guys going to want me to drop the cheese thing? He said, nope, we want the cheese. And I said, okay. And so somehow, some way, in, sold out stadiums around the country so far, the cheese goes bananas. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't really describe it. I still love wrestling with a huge passion. That'll never go away. Wrestling
Mhm.
will always be my first love over everything, and the crowd, when you can get the crowd into it, it's the best feeling in the world. For the bananas, it's very, very similar. It runs parallel with pro wrestling because it's such a show. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
and it is the crowds are amped. In Tampa we had 65,000 plus, and that meant a lot to me because I've lived here for quite a long time, and my family's here, and I got a lot of very special, important people to me see me perform in front of that many people, and it's been it's been a really cool thing, and I'm just really getting started. I'm just scratching the surface of what I can do with the bananas. So
Yeah. And for people who don't know, I would describe it as what baseball meets pro wrestling, I would assume. Is that kind of
yeah,
the best?
I think that's the best way to describe it. You got baseball, you got some pro wrestling mixed in, you've got some theater type stuff mixed in, some music, a lot of music and dancing mixed in. So
Yeah.
it's it works for this is the only thing that works for theater kids, baseball fans, and pro wrestling fans. So dig in. If you haven't seen this Savannah Bananas game, you can always catch them on YouTube. We stream all of our games on YouTube, live streaming. But if you ever have the opportunity to get tickets, I would say please do it to anybody listening to this because it is so fantastic.
Yeah, just seeing all the clips I've seen, looks like a great old time.
Oh yeah.
You guys got great moves too.
Thanks.
Let's talk about a little business for you. At Pro Wrestling Actions, Dead or Alive, you teamed up with Joy Galore, take on Better Together. Somehow you guys ended up fighting at the end. What happened with that?
Well, so Joey and I were not supposed to be a tag team, but the powers that be, one of the powers that be anyway, Goodyear, Goodrich, whatever you want to call him, who comes in and makes decisions that nobody wants him to make, came in and he made the decision after a brutal attack. The previous show for Pro Wrestling Action, before that, Joey had my head in a chair and he was getting ready to stomp that chair and he was getting ready to break my neck. So it was after our match that we had there, and I was a fan of Joey's. I love the whole dad bod demigod stuff. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool. I thought it was fun. He's oozing with charisma. Joey is a fantastic performer. I can't take that away from him. But further than putting my head in a steel chair, getting ready to stomp it, the biggest mistake that he made is he took a piece of cheese and he shoved it in my mouth. Now, that's like taking spinach and shoving it in Popeye's mouth. It only made me more powerful, but at the same time, it made me more angry. So I had to go after him. So it was after the match, you know, we were facing Better Together. They put this ragtag tag team match together. Better Together's been waiting for a long time to say that they beat the freaking cheese. That's just how they say it. And they got their win. And of course, the pinfall was over me. So ultimately, it was my fault because they double super kicked me into oblivion, and I was down at 1, 2, 3. We're done. But it was because Joey stopped caring about the match. And I was in the middle of, and I thought I had him with me. I was going to get ready to do a double DD cheese, which is a reverse DDT for those who don't know. A scorpion death drop, if you will.
Okay. Okay.
And we were getting ready to do dueling DD cheeses, and I yelled it out. I got him there, and he had Ori, I had Hadar, and we were like DD cheese, and then he drops Hadar, and he comes over and blasts me in the face, and then of course, Better Together, double super kick to my face, 1, 2, 3. That was the end of that tag team because I couldn't take it anymore. I had to
Yeah.
retaliate in some way, so I had to give him the business. I I won't say that I'm super sad about it, but I had to take his head and lay it up against a ring post, and so that's what busted his head open. So he's got a little Harry Potter scar on his forehead, and he was bleeding quite a bit. And I'm not here to tell you that I condone blood and violence all the time, but that one seemed kind of necessary because he took it to the brink and he took it too far.
Yeah, you don't touch another man's cheese.
That's right.
You're back May 15th for Wrestling Actions Shake, Rattle, and Rumble. You think you can get you and Joey one-on-one?
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that they're going to have us go one on one, but there also could be, some retribution against Better Together. I don't know. There
Okay.
could be. I don't know which direction we're going to go. I'd love to get my hands on Joey again. I would love it if we could see my tag team partner Bud Heavy over there, so we can get a little beer cheese and pro wrestling action.
Okay.
But yeah, there's. I just have a feeling there's going to be some kind of retribution.
Gotta get your one up, and you can always have the tag team with Big Boy Patty. What do you say? Cheese Patty?
Brother, I love that kid. I would love to work with Big Boy Patty. Big Boy Patty with cheese would be
There you
the
go.
tag team of the century.
Big Boy Patty with cheese. That's what it was. Let's see. This Saturday, actually, Coastal Championship Wrestling's Havoc and Hayes taking on the Grizzled veteran, the Authority, Eddie Torres. I'm sure you guys have some kind of history together up and down the roads, right?
You know, we worked together before, and Eddie's been on the scene for quite a long time, and he loves to think that he can tell the old cheesy boy what to do. And as soon as I tell him that he can't tell me what to do, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, you want to say that you represent Tampa? You don't represent Tampa. I represent Tampa. You're gonna fight me, the Authority." Blah, blah, blah. That's how he talks in my head.
Okay.
You know, so he wants to battle for supremacy for who runs Tampa. I mean, that's fine. I'm ready, willing, and cheesy to fight the grizzled vet, Ed Torres.
Ed.
He won't like it that I called him Ed. That's why I said it.
I need to start calling him Ed too.
I didn't mention this before, but I should have. If it's okay, I actually have a twofer that day. So earlier on in the day, I'm going to be at the DeSoto County Watermelon Festival.
Okay.
And CWA Wrestling will be there at 1 p.m. So anybody that is in the Arcadia, Florida area, they can go to the Turner Center and find me there. And then after that, I'm going to cruise on down the road a little bit north, and then I'm going to, slap Eddie or Ed with some cheese.
What's the DeSoto Watermelon Festival? Is that like the Strawberry Festival in Plant City?
Sorta. It's a lot of watermelon stuff. They have a watermelon pageant and a watermelon queen.
Okay.
So that's always pretty fun. So if nobody's ever heard of that, and again, you're close enough to Arcadia, I would say give it a shot. CWA Wrestling, to which I am the commissioner of, is always really fun. A lot of really good action, a lot of really good people that are going to be in action on that show. It's an abbreviated show, only 4 matches, but there's going to be a lot of entertainment going on that day, especially rolling in watermelon season. So
okay, you have an answer for Dr. Christopher if he gets involved to try to help out old Ed?
Well, old turtleneck and chain, as I call him, he likes to get involved in the matches, and I would say this to old turtleneck and chain: if he wanted to get involved in my match, then he needs to go ahead and take that Lactaid Ultra, because I've heard that he's lactose intolerant. I'm going to shove some cheese down his throat if he gets in my way.
You got to watch out, Dr. Eric. His stomach won't be able to handle that. April 19th, Pride of Wrestling, Last Resort, Seminole, Florida. You and Bud Heavy defend those POW Tag Team Championships against La Sangre Controversial. 2 badass dudes. You guys ready for them?
Yeah. Bud and I are going to have to get a little serious for this one. It's going to be one of our biggest challenges as the tag champs for Pride of Wrestling up to date. It's going to be an interesting fight. Romeo likes to be very physical, as does Salazar. But here's the thing that they forget, and maybe some other people might forget, that Cheese and Bud Heavy can be just as physical.
Meat slapping meat. Who's have you faced Controversial Inc? Who's tougher out of the 2 teams, you think?
Between
Romeo and Salazar and Carlos.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I haven't faced this new iteration of Salazar and Romeo, but I know Romeo is a very, very tough individual. Not to take anything away from Salazar himself, who's also tough, but it's hard to say. Mr. C's pretty tough too, and there's always a lot of different things that can happen in a match that's going to have quite a bit of brutality in it.
Yeah, Romeo reminds me of Hugh Morris. He loves to jump off shit. Big ass dude jumping off stuff.
Huge guy. Met Hugh Morris at the Banana Ball game in Tampa.
Nice guy.
Cool. Yeah, super nice, super
Old
chill.
general erection. How'd beer cheese come to be? We guys sitting in the locker room and someone was like, "Hey, you're cheese," and he's butt heavy. Beer cheese.
I'll take credit for that one. I came up with that idea. It was actually fun story. That was our intro to Pride of Wrestling. Was and my intro and Bud's intro. Pride of Wrestling. We started out as a tag team there, and I said, Bud became one of my quickest friends in wrestling. He's always been an ally of mine. He's always went to the mat for me, went to bat for me, always taking care of me. He's been what we call in the business a really good brother, and he's just, I was like, why wouldn't I want to tag with a guy like that? I mean, he's fast, he's surprisingly agile, he's super strong. He always puts on a good show, and he always takes care of the fans. So I'm like, I have to tag with this guy.
Yeah.
So I said, what are we going to call ourselves? Well, he's Bud Heavy, and one of the best dips that you can have out there if you're eating a snack, watching football, watching whatever you're watching, is beer cheese. I mean, who doesn't love beer cheese?
It's no brainer.
If you've had it, it's a no-brainer. You love beer, you love cheese. You don't have to love beer. You can enjoy beer cheese without even loving beer. So, beer cheese came to be at Pride of Wrestling, and we've gone off on our own on a few different places before as well. So it's just it's a lot of fun. I love tagging with Bud, and I love that we are the POW tag team champions.
Repping it well.
Thank you.
Let's see. April 26th, you're headed to Death Valley, home of the Clemson Tigers. Sold out, 81,000 strong.
Yes,
That's gotta
sir.
have to be wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, in Tampa it was crazy, right? So like everybody, I tried to reach as many people as I could, high five and hug and take pictures with and sign autographs for, and you know do different videos and different requests and all this kind of stuff. And it was all from my heart, because these are all people that surround me on a weekly basis. With my business, I drive by Raymond James Stadium at least once a week, and it's just, I tried to talk to as many of the 65,000 plus that were there, and I'm going to do the same thing in Clemson. Clemson is actually where I made my debut
Yep.
with the Savannah Bananas
Okay.
as a manana. So yeah, we it's not quite full circle yet, because I got a lot more to do, but it's a really cool thing that when I debuted, and it was in November of this past year in 2024, when I debuted over there, it was at the, and if anybody who knows anything about Clemson, South Carolina, it's a college town, very
Mhm.
small, wooded areas, beautiful part of the country. Debuted at their baseball stadium, which was like, I want to say like 4,000, 5,000, something like that. So maybe closer to 10. I'm not sure, but it was in the single to just over the double digits range.
Yeah.
And that was cool, because before that, the biggest crowd I'd ever wrestled in front of was 1,000 people. So
Yeah.
to multiply that by several thousand was really, really cool. But then you multiply it by 80
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
thousand, and it's just, I get amped just thinking about it, because it's like, it's just another opportunity to make an impact on somebody's life, to do what we call fans first. That's actually the name of the company. It's Fans First Entertainment. we make sure that everybody that we can reach, everybody that we can touch, everybody that we can see and speak to has the best experience that they could ever have at one of these events. And that's been my motto the whole entire time. Mine has always been it's a little different, but it's the same. But the difference is I've always said, how would I want to be treated as a fan?
Yeah.
So I give that to those fans. I reach out to the young, chubby Cheeeese that I would have been in the crowd, and I interact with him how I would have wanted to be interacted with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. You could tell it's that's what they're all about because how fast they've blown up and to sell out 81,000 people to come out and watch your show, man. It's wild.
And it's all passion. It's all
Yeah.
passion. It's athletes doing their thing. It's dancers. It's singers. It's the cast. We do a lot of different things, and it just keeps evolving into really cooler things. They've added 2 teams. They're going to add 2 more. I mean, there's a lot of love going on there.
Are the dance routines easy to learn? Do you have troubles with that or?
No, I'm not a. I've gained more confidence. I can't say that I'm a great dancer. I can now say that I'm passable at weddings. So I could never say that before in my life, but now I can.
Oh, what's the best cheese for a grilled cheese? Are you gonna say American classic?
Yeah, I mean, that's the GOAT. I mean, you can't really you can fancy it up, a grilled cheese, like, but then it becomes something else. If you
Mm-hmm.
put a dash of this and sprinkle it with chives and, load it up with Colby Jack or some kind of aged cheddar or smoked Swiss or whatever, it's good, but it's gourmet. A good grilled cheese is a sloppy, almost greasy thing that you eat out of desperation for hunger, and the reason why they're so good is because it's similar to pizza.
Yeah.
Poor people love pizza, rich people love pizza, all kinds of people love pizza. Same can be said about a grilled cheese unless you're lactose intolerant. Sorry, Dr. Eric.
Sorry, Dr. Eric.
um,
That's why he's so miserable, I guess, is because he can't
I,
enjoy that cheese.
you
It
know
all
what,
makes
there's
sense.
something there. I
Yeah,
think there's
yeah,
something there. You'd think, if as a doctor, he would know to take his lactate. But I digress. Yeah, a grilled cheese is good because you're super hungry and you want that ooey gooey, almost greasy goodness to it. Yeah, as long as it tastes good to you, then it's the best grilled cheese ever. But yeah, I say American cheese all the way.
That makes sense. Comparing it to pizza too, because no one likes that gourmet pizza. Everyone likes that sloppy, greasy ass pizza.
It's fun to go if you go to a restaurant and they're like, there's a restaurant in town. Um, I'm trying to think of the name, but it's been around for a while. But they have there's a pizza that they have prosciutto and they have figs and they have different kind of gorgonzola and some other blue cheese type stuff on there, and it's good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, is that pizza?
Yeah.
That's gourmet, like
Yeah.
it's doing all the right things, but it's not doing them the same way. Some greasy pepperoni and cheese and extra whatever toppings you want. Me personally, I'm a stuffed crust, pepperoni, and mushrooms guy. I love that combo. It's like it's just enough white trash that'll won't get you looked at sideways for being too hoity-toity, but it's got enough pizza to it where you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just chef's kiss.
Yeah. The mushrooms class it up a little bit.
There you go. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Got some names here for you. Tell me what you think. Start with Jake St. Patrick.
Jake St. Patrick, phenomenal athlete. I've heard a really good trainer. I've only heard that from people who have been trained by him or are being helped to be trained by him. And I've seen him in action. He's a world class athlete, and the fact that he's not signed to a contract somewhere and one of the bigger companies is a miscarriage of justice to me. Yeah, and all in all, really good guy too. Always supportive.
3 gimmicks, man, all different ring styles too, all different. The way they talk, the way they move, that's wild.
Yep, absolutely.
What about Mr. Raw and Real, August Artois?
August Artois never never misses a chance to share his opinion on what he thinks of others and what he thinks of himself.
Yeah.
But he's been clanging and banging out there on the worldwide scene, doing his thing. So respect for that. You know, he's got the independent scene kind of on their knees when it comes to him, and he commands a lot of respect and command in and of itself. And you know, I think that I think he's doing great at doing his thing. He's doing August.
Yeah. Well, the King of Florida, Daniel Starlin.
So Daniel Starling is a I've said this about Daniel Starling before, and I've actually tag teamed with Daniel Starling. I've worked Daniel Starling one on one. He's been a big part of my career in a lot of different ways. Um, Great guy. Love him like a little brother, and he doesn't. Daniel Starling doesn't jump for a move. He floats through the air. Okay. And what I mean by that is like if you watch a Daniel Starling elbow drop, it's a picturesque thing where he could pauses at just the right time. And I just wish that he would just once wink at the camera when he's going for an elbow drop or a leg drop or a knee drop or a splash or whatever he's doing. But he one of the greatest pure technical wrestlers that I've seen in the state of Florida.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about El Papi Chulo?
I've had a couple run-ins with El Papichulo. El Papichulo loves to get very physical, and he got very physical with me at a Fight the World NWA wrestling show in St. Pete, in my hometown. I'd say he's a very formidable opponent. You know, he really follows through with his physicality in the ring, but his arrogance leaves something to be desired
Yeah.
because he loves passing out those roses to people who don't want them. Maybe they do. Maybe somebody out there wants your rose, Papichulo.
Last name for you, Leroy Shogun.
Leroy, as I call him, is like a brother to me. We both got on the scene while we were a little bit older in our 30s, training for this beautiful, wonderful thing we call pro wrestling. And he is aggression incarnate. He is a samurai shogun incarnate. He can move through the air like a man that is a cruiserweight, but he's my height. He weighs a little bit less than me, but he's a big dude that can move through the air in ways that he shouldn't be able to move, and move quickly in ways that he shouldn't be able to move. And he's super powerful as a pro wrestler, but he's also humble and respectful as a performer, as a man, as a father. You know, I couldn't say any more, you know, better things about Leroy Shogun. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, that I don't know what you even call it, a front handspring to the ropes and then jumps back and elbow or what I don't even know what the hell they call it, but like big dudes should not be doing that kind of stuff.
Well, it also the whisper in the wind, and I've heard Bud Heavy call it careless whisper. Um, he'll actually spin. Leroy will spin in midair and then bang land down on the opponent, knock him down, and it's a beautiful poetry in motion thing to see. But
Yeah.
yeah, a dude that size, it's something to behold. You shouldn't be able to move like that, but he does, and he does it well.
Yeah. All right, before I let you go, what's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Oh my God. I wish that I had known the importance of marketing and social media in the pro wrestling game. Uh, I I try and encourage guys, and I'm preaching to the choir, and I have to hype myself up. But before we started the podcast, I was recording a video. Um, you can reach so many more people if you have a really organic, engaged social media outlet. If you make sure that you're engaging and constantly posting and making sure that it's the right post for your character and the right post as a pro wrestler, um, and not doing things for just shock value, just doing things that are still fun, but talking about the thing, just like what we're doing right now. I can
Yeah.
see the YouTube emblem. That's going to be on YouTube. I know that you're big on Instagram. It's going to be on Instagram. Why? Because more eyes equals a better product, because your product is ultimately going to get better because you're putting it out there for the world to see. Now, in the independent scene, you can go and you can work in front of 5 people, you can work in front of 200 people, you can work in front of 1,000. Sometimes you can get indie events that are in the double digits into the thousands.
Yeah.
You can only make that audience better and bolster your character and leverage your brand by focusing on the importance of social media. Matt Cardona, who has proudly held up the best-selling cheese shirt, the Cheese Buster video shirt, in a photo that's on my Instagram, has recently said, I think he said it on Twitter or X or whatever. He said, yes, he's been teasing the whole Indie Mania thing. And he said, yeah, somebody was asking me about, independent wrestlers asking me about being on Indie Mania. And I saw that they hadn't posted in 8 days. So I just moved on and forgot about them. And, that's really poignant in a lot of ways, because he said, I've moved on and I forgot about them. Well, if you haven't posted in 8 days on social media, that's like a lifetime.
Yes.
So, and I'm not preaching at you. I know you've got your stuff on lock, but I'm preaching at other wrestlers that may be listening to this, and other people. Whatever you do, if it's a small business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in advertising, I could get better, and I'm trying to get better every single day. I'm just out here doing my best. There are some people that have thousands more followers than me, and they just rely on a post here and a post there. They could be doing so much more. I see brands, and I see big name wrestlers who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but every now and again they just post, something related to the promotion that they're working for or whatever, and it's just not enough.
Yeah.
I don't think our lives should be controlled. There has to be a balance, but I wish that when I first started, I focused more on the importance of social media, because even though I'm doing okay right now, like I said, I just want to get better every day. That's my goal. I could be doing so much better, and I could be so much further ahead if I had focused on that in the very beginning.
It's wild to me that people don't take advantage of it. It's free,
Right.
and you have way more opportunity to reach 20, 100 million times more people than to come out to your shows.
Absolutely.
And again, it's free, and like it doesn't take much. 30-second video, even just to saying the stupidest thing, just to put yourself out there and be consistent with it, so people know who you are. And it goes way more farther than you having a 7-minute match somewhere in Arcadia, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Think of
Get
the
out there,
guys.
get out there and cut the promos.
Yeah, get the promos. The last thing I'll say about it, I could talk about this forever, but think about the guys in the 70s, 80s, 90s. If you talk to them all, some of them are grizzled enough to be like, I hate social media. And I get that. I get that sentiment. I really do. But there are many that have said, oh man, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, if we had social media and it was the norm thing,
Yeah.
imagine how it would have changed the landscape. Look at how it's changing the landscape of pro wrestling right now.
Yeah, those guys had to wrestle seven days a week to get the same kind of visibility that anyone can get on right now with social media.
That's right. That's right.
Cheeeese, go ahead, man. Get your stuff in. Where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at the Cheese Pro, the Cheese PW on Twitter and X, the Cheese Pro Wrestler. Actually, I've switched it on Facebook. It's just the Cheese because I'm doing more than just wrestling. But you can find me on any of those outlets. TikTok, I'm on TikTok is a great Gouda. I'm posting silly stuff all the time, mostly on my Instagram, trying to build that up, trying to build my YouTube up. I am going to be doing some more fun stuff with Savannah Bananas. If you follow Savannah Bananas, you'll probably see me dancing, doing something silly here and there. Yeah, I did want to give a special shout out if I could.
Absolutely.
With your permission. I'm wearing this shirt. It's as you can see on here, it's Breasty Friends Forever. And it was this lady who was at the Savannah Banana game in Tampa, and she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey," and you know, we had this little back and forth, had a quick conversation, and she was just like, "Will you say the Cheese loves Breasty Friends Forever?" And she wanted to record me, and I said, "Okay." So I said it, and it turns out that Breasty Friends Forever is a Instagram account. So go again, follow them, Breasty Friends Forever on Instagram, and it's two best friends. They're childhood best friends, and they both are survivors of breast cancer.
Oh, no
And
shit.
so breast cancer affects so many people, and not just the people that have breast cancer and have to go through the treatments and all the stuff that they need to do to survive for their families, but it affects the families that go through that sort of thing too. So Breasty Friends Forever, they offer support and ways to cope and resources and all these different things. And I just think that they're two wonderful people. Again, I don't want to sit here and take up all your time, take up everybody's time telling the story. Just go follow them on Instagram, see their story. They deal with pediatric kids dentistry and stuff too. So there's a lot of really good and engaging content on there. But I would say I would just like to take that time and thank you for allowing me to shout them out. Really
Absolutely.
good account. Really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, absolutely. Go follow them. Breasty Friends Forever. I'll put the link down in the YouTube video for everybody. Cheese, man, really appreciate you coming on, man. Had a blast, man. Wish you nothing but the best, man. Great guy. You deserve everything that's coming to you, man.
Thank you, brother. I hope to see you at a show soon, man.
Absolutely. I'll see you down in POW a couple weeks. Everybody have a good night. Go follow all that stuff he said.